Alright guys, we finally got the rebuild kit for our carburetor, and we're going to have to go rob a screw off the old 3-horse that I took off an engine, so, you know, it's decommissioned, it's not too big of a deal. But let's open this up, see what we got to rebuild the carburetor, and finally get this engine put back together. It's pretty close. Gasket. When you rebuild these carburetors, it's really important to replace this, because this is the one that came out of it. This is your fuel pump diaphragm, and if you ever find like your old Briggs engine with the carburetor on the fuel tank gas, like that type of fuel system, if you find that it's a bit sluggish and doesn't like to rev up and it'll die, try replacing this. It'll be, you can find it right on here, and essentially once the engine creates a vacuum, they call these the pulsa carburetors, because it creates a pulse and then it takes in fuel. That's how that works. Oh. You gotta take these screws out. I put these screws in here because they're pretty easy to lose, not gonna lie. We also got a new jet for our carburetor. This came off of a 5-horse. I know it's not that interesting or important to say that, but thought I'd just let you know that a lot of the basic parts like carburetors are interchangeable between engines. So if you ever find yourself like 3-horse that doesn't work because of fuel issues, but you got a good donor engine, that's like a 5-horse, you can swap it on with minimal difficulties. The gas tanks will be different. Typical. Okay, so since we are replacing the jet in this carburetor, and we got some other goodies with this rebuild kit too that you normally don't see. Idle mixture screw components. So we're just going to thread in our jet first, and make sure the jet is not clogged. If you are like rebuilding these engines and you rebuild the carburetor, make sure your jet is not clogged, because that can also be a reason that your engine is running rough or not at all. Could you just like not be making a whole bunch of noise? Thank you. And then this has to go together a certain way. Got an O-ring right here, a gasket which goes underneath this, and then of course a spring and your screw. Now you gotta put these, have these set 2.5 turns out. So you want to bottom the screw out. I'll thread it in here first, but you want to bottom it out and then do 1.5 turns of the screw out, so that's the correct fuel mixture. There we go. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. I did 3 half turns, which is 1.5. So now we're gonna look towards here. Got a new gasket for the gas tank. And it's recommended that you replace pretty much every gasket in these when you rebuild an engine. Make sure you put your carburetor on correctly. And it's kind of difficult to mess that up, but just in case. Alright guys, so we got the carburetor on, and yes, I did notice that the spring was not in here for the fuel pump, so I took this off, put that in there. That'll work now. Important thing that we got to put on is our air vane governor. Now, this works by, as the engine turns over, these fins, they shoot air over the engine and it cools that off. But what it also does is it pulls this back, and it pulls back on the carburetor to an idle. It's called an air vane governor. But without that, obviously we're going to be seeing RPMs that we don't need to be seeing. So we need to get that properly situated. Alright guys, we're finally going to run it. It's got oil, fuel, spark. This has been months in the making. Got right here for I think we're going to need a little bit of gasoline. Wonder why it's leaking gas out of the carburetor. Oh yeah, that bolt wasn't even tight. Okay, that should be better. Give it a little bit of gasoline. Ah, that lid is no good anymore. Well, it fired, but that didn't sound too good. Smoke. That doesn't sound too good. Hang on. That's not good. We're gonna have to check that out. But it fired, and a huge cloud of smoke popped out. It's because of all the oil that's in it. But it fired. We're getting close. Alright guys, we fixed it, hopefully. I only got 13 minutes of footage left. Okay. Here goes nothing, I guess. Might need that fuel bottle again. Okay, this will be enough to scare me. Fired. Oh my gosh. She's a running. Smokes. Give it a little bit more fuel. And must not be getting any fuel. But it does run. I'm half tempted to end it in the video here because I don't have much camera memory left. Let's give it a little bit more fuel, just for the heck of it. Seems to fire up just fine, but it won't stay running. Alright guys, so I actually did get it to work. Like, it runs by itself. I just had to use the enrichment screw to make it work. But it works. So, hang on. Just, here it is. Might need to idle her up a little bit. She don't want to cooperate too much. But, yeah. It's running. I had it going and it's just... It's a lot of vapor leaving the intake. It's getting real hot too. This one bolt right here is like extremely hot. But I need to get one good run in before I run out of camera life. So there she is. Old 3-horse lives again. There we go. The carburetor doesn't like to idle too much, and I think that's because of how much play is in the throttle. But it works. And pretty dang well, too, if I say so myself. So, what's next? Like, what do I do after this? What is there to do now? What do you guys want to see me do? The truck's almost roadworthy. It's just I gotta figure out something else to do, guys. Let me know down in the comments for what I need to do after this. Anyway, now I'll see you on the other side, and goodbye.